listening to the TPLCast, the official podcast of the People's League of Hell Let Loose. I'm Tritium, and this is my co-host, Hercules. What's up, man?
Hello. Good to be with you again today. How are you?
Doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I am doing great. Another beautiful day.
You got any good matches in lately?
I tried to. We got into one of our matches that we'll talk about a little bit later, and it was definitely a good one.
Well, hey, just a little disclaimer. Any opinions expressed on this podcast by the hosts and their guests are their own, and they don't reflect the official opinions and viewpoints of the league. Just want to throw that out there. Also, I just want to say thank you for your support. Over the past few days, I've had multiple people ask when the next episode is going to be, which is so awesome. I love hearing that. When I first started this, I really didn't expect many people to listen to it at all. So it's just really cool for people to be so interested in it. I do want to apologize that the posting schedule for these episodes isn't super consistent. Mostly because of me. I just trying to find time to edit and everything.
Yeah, and if it doesn't come out in that time frame, guys, just remember we have lives. We have to go to work. We have to make money for our families, and we can't stop doing that. Even though we enjoy doing this as much as we do, we still have to make time and figure out a way to balance.
Yeah. So before we begin, I just wanted to let y'all know about a little idea that we've been working really hard on for our next episode. Since we have the championship game coming up, we want to provide a live stream showing both teams' perspectives along with commentary. We want to stream this on Twitch and then upload it to YouTube afterward for anybody who might miss it. But we need your help. So far, the teams that we've talked to who might be in the championship game are a little hesitant to let us stream the match. So we've made some concessions on the format of the stream and everything to try and alleviate some of their concerns. But they need just a little extra push. Help us to convince them to let us live stream the championship match by posting about it in the TPL Discord server.
All right, guys, and with that, we have a lot of content to cover in this episode, so we're going to get right into it. Some of the things that you're going to see, we've got league news, quarterfinals results with a couple of post-match interviews, semifinals previews, short overview of the team stats for the teams who've made it to the semifinals, and we're going to cover a little bit about what we know for Update 14.
Awesome, that's exciting. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
So for the league news, we've got a pretty big milestone here. We hit 1,000 members.
I am super excited about that. We talked about a little bit the last episode. We were just hitting 900. Now we're at 1,000. We gained that additional 100 members very quickly. Super exciting. I hope that we continue to grow and we continue to see more members, more clans, and more teams.
Yeah, I know you've been kind of counting down, as we got closer and closer to the 1,000. So it's pretty awesome to see us finally get there.
Yeah, and I know you guys are probably tired of seeing me post the count. I've been posting 980, 990, 995. So all of the operators are probably glad that we've reached that so that I can move on to something new and exciting.
It just goes to show like how much TPL has grown, how far it has disseminated into the community. People know about it. Clans know about it. And we see that with a lot of the smaller clans that have signed up recently. We've been getting more registrations lately, which is really great to see. That means TPL Lite is going to have more competition in it. And hopefully down the road, that will mean more competition for the main TPL league.
Yeah, and I think the TPL Lite format is definitely going to add a little bit of spice for these smaller clans who can't quite meet the minimum requirements for that main league that we've got going on. We've seen a lot of interest in it, and a lot of clans that look like that they're going to use that as an opportunity to grow. So we're excited to provide that opportunity. We're excited to see those teams continue to register, and we're excited to get the word out that come join the community.
Well, next we've got a little bit about the semifinals extension. I believe because a holiday is coming up, some of the teams wanted to extend the deadline for the next round by a little bit. Do you know if that's going to pass, Herc?
I believe it has already passed, so it does look like that extension is going to happen. It's going to extend the semifinals round by exactly 1 week, which is going to in turn push the start date out for season 2 by an additional week as well.
Gotcha. So that makes the season 2 start date July 17th. Is that right?
Yeah, that is right. Because we've moved the start date out for season 2, we've also extended that registration deadline just to give teams a little bit more time. If we have any teams coming in who need to complete that qualifier match, or as we get the word out to some of these smaller clans that we have a light edition, we went ahead and extended that registration deadline just to give those teams and those clans an additional chance to get in and get in on the action. So that deadline is going to be June 26th now.
Gotcha. So June 26th for the season 2 registration deadline, July 17th for the season 2 start date.
Absolutely correct. And then we do have that outlined in the announcements channel on TPL Discord.
Gotcha. Last bit of league news here. What's this about a Shovel Knight Thursday?
We had some people asking for a shovel fight club. So we're going to try to make it happen. You know, we've got an off season coming in, and we still want to engage the community. We want to continue to provide that community experience, even when we're not in the middle of that competition. Also, I don't think we can really organize in the middle of that competition. There's so much other stuff going on. So we're looking at, for the off season, organizing some sort of shovel night. Shovel Fight Club, whatever you want to call it. We're looking at Shovel Night Thursday. Guys, let us know what you think.
So what does that involve exactly? I assume, do we build an arena? Is that what's going on?
I don't think any of us have really put that much consideration into it. My thought was that we would just meet in some random sector that's not being fought over in the middle of a field, and then we all just charge at each other, and the last one standing is the winner of that night's fight club. We could build an arena and go one-on-one. There's multiple options. We need some help figuring out which direction we want to take.
Oh yeah. Hey, I want to know when we're gonna put together like a racing league.
I would love to see a racing league. We've seen with the introduction of Jeeps, we've seen a couple of people make that suggestion. We've seen a couple of people say pistol only fights. Lots of interesting and cool ideas that we should probably look into more in order to engage this community.
Awesome. Well, yeah, for everybody listening, keep your eyes out for Shovel Knight Thursday. Great. So you want to talk about the quarterfinal results?
Yeah, we'll get right into it. Our first match that we'll be covering, we had WRTB versus Merc. They were able to land on a warfare mode, and it happened to be Hurtgen Forest. WRTB came away with that win 5-0. Unfortunately, we didn't have a perspective. We didn't have a journalist in on that match. We hope to see the next one though.
Man, the clan killers get taken down.
They got taken down, but from what I heard, they put up a heck of a force to be reckoned with, and we hope to see them in season 2.
Yeah, looking back at the community poll for this match, we asked the community which team is more likely to win, Merc or WRTB, and Merc actually had 57% of that vote. So it's a surprise result here for this match.
It looks like the community has lost their crystal ball. Good thing I didn't get those lottery numbers.
Right. All right, so next we had the first versus 7th match. That was a warfare match on Carentan.
Oh yeah, tell us about this one.
Yeah, the 7th came away with a 5-0 win, and let me tell you, that happened very quickly. I think the whole match lasted maybe 30 minutes. It was really tough. The 7th came out swinging, and their aggressiveness won the match. I've posted my perspective of that match on YouTube, and that'll be linked in the episode description.
Yeah, I know from my own experience with the 7th, they come out swinging, and they come out swinging for the fences. They very quickly push hard, and try to walk you to the back of the map, and most of the time, they are successful.
Looking at the community poll for this match, the 7th was expected to win with 68% of the vote, and the first had 32% of the vote. So the community kind of had a pulse on this one.
Yeah, they were able to accurately predict the result of this match. I think a lot of people are counting on the 7th to make it all the way to the finals.
Yep.
I'm excited to see if they do. Moving on to the next match, we have 11th versus TFMC. They also were lucky enough to land on a Warfare. As a matter of fact, I think all of the quarterfinals matches happened on a Warfare match. So that is super good news, super exciting to see. 11th versus TFMC ended up using Utah Beach as the map, and 11th came away with that victory 5-0. We do have 2 videos covering this match. Those videos will be linked in the episode description. We've got Frank the Tank, your boy. We all know him. We all love him. And then we've also got your boy JaCrispy, kind of a new independent journalist. So we're excited to see that content coming from him. We hope we see more. We also have a post-match interview that Frank the Tank hosted for that match. We'll be hearing that here shortly.
Looking at the community poll for this match, TFMC versus the 11th, TFMC had 46% of the vote, and the 11th had 54%. That's pretty close as far as the community polls go.
Yeah, and they got it right. They were close, but they got it right.
And finally, we have the KRRC versus HLLE match that, as you mentioned, was a Warfare match on Carentan, and HLLE came away with the win 5-0. Have you noticed all of these were 5-0?
I actually had not made that connection, but looking at it, you are right. It looks like the teams that have made it forward did it by doing it right. They swung hard, and they took that victory all the way to the back.
Yeah, I just think that's a really interesting result. Looking at the community polls for this one, it looks like KRRC had 51% of the vote and HLLE had 49%. So it was expected to be a pretty close game. And of course, HLLE came away with the win. Caparzo posted a summary video from his perspective, and I believe yours.
Yeah, I was in that match. I was able to throw in some recording, hand it over to Caparzo to use in his video, and that match it was hell.
Well, that video will be in the episode description, and it's a pretty popular one. It's got almost 2,000 views.
That is more than I was expecting, especially since it only uploaded 2 days ago at the time of this recording.
Awesome. Well, so we have a couple of post-match interviews to listen to. The first one is for the 11th versus TFMC match. Frank was able to get the post-match interview in for that one. Let's go ahead and listen to that now.
Hello, TPLCast listeners. This is Frankie Boy coming back to you again. They've let me back. And boys, what a match I'm about to report on. With me today after this match at Utah Beach, I've got Beer Edge, Joshy, and Jedi Batman. Beer Edge and Joshy from TFMC and Jedi Batman from the 11th. I'm going to do my best to speak slowly so as to avoid annoying subtitles, and the rest of the boys will do well. Let's start with the mighty Beer Edge. Before we get into where you were on the map, it was Utah Beach. 11th got the win. What were you up to in the match today?
Well, a lot of people are going to say that I was tank commanding, but what they don't understand is we just put Heine's name on the bottom, and I was actually pulling a lot of the strings in the background, which may prove to be kind of our fatal downfall because I don't actually know what I'm doing.
When Joshy said that we could get Beer Edge into this interview, I did think a couple of times, but I tell you what, everyone in TPL knows who you are because you were the bloke that types your name into general chat and refers to yourself. So Ladies and gentlemen that are listening, this is what you're in for. Joshy, what were you up to in the match? You were putting up with me, weren't you?
Yeah, mate, we were on attack, and it was difficult
It's very difficult.
for most of the game. But yeah, it was a bit of a fight over it once we capped the midpoint there for Sunken Bridge, and we got close at one point of the game. But after that, it was just a bit of a slog, as you know. And then we sort of turned into a defensive squad after that, and then the rest is history.
And we'll come back to that because I want to talk about that midpoint soon. And Jedi, you 11th legend, what were you doing today?
So me and the boys were mainly an offense squad. Tasked with taking Chapel, but once we actually ended up scrapping with Josh's squad, which was good. We sort of act as a swing between offense and defense. So when they rolled their 76s in, we came and put satchels on the back of them, which they would have enjoyed. And then pushed into Chapel and managed to take it and hold it.
Yeah, nice. All right, I'm going to start with what I can remember, and I'll flick between Joshy and Jedi. And because you were a tanker, can you just jump in if you feel like you've got something cool to add? And I will flick to you at one point as well. But the midpoint was the Chapel, and Joshy, the biggest thing that I was so impressed with for TFMC was how quickly you guys got to the Chapel. It was probably the best midpoint capture I've seen of the whole season, and that's not me being hyperbolic or exaggerating or anything. We got there really, really quickly. Was that important to TFMC? Was that discussed through the week?
Yeah, real important. Cap that first, and establish our Garys on the blue line there, which we did.
We set a Gary up sort of in G6, just behind the Chapel there. Keep telling me what's more important.
Yeah, mate, sort of just holding that until all the boys are up, and just head for the next point from there, mate. Pretty much, but.
Jedi, from your perspective, were you guys pushing hard for the Chapel, or were you holding back and just letting them cap?
Oh, yeah, man. Like, capping third is so important because if you don't cap third, you just end up having to eat pressure for the next 30, 40 minutes of the game. And that's exactly what happened to us, but it's hard getting there quick. I think the Americans have a slight advantage, not that it means anything, but getting there a bit earlier as on Utah. But just set up our early offensive garrisons and went at it. But we were surprised how quick probably you guys were able to, TFMC were able to put pressure on our fourth point. Like, we play you guys all the time, so I don't know if it's something new you guys worked on, but yeah, you had us on the back foot for the first 40 minutes anyway, I feel, which we weren't expecting, but it was just putting on some early pressure, which we failed to do probably.
Yeah, I think Razza stepped Gary up there on that fourth point, and then Heine got an airhead and the tanks got up there, but sort of fell apart after that. That was our only close push for that fourth point.
I might pitch in there because I can get the tanker in here. So, when we took the Chapel so quickly, Joshy, I can only speak from our squad's perspective, but he had us on the ball real quick, pushing up as fast as we could to get Gary sort of up right on the edge of E3 to set up a Gary there. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Beer, but I think you had two tanks at Sunken Bridge pretty quickly on that first, trying to get that cap at the fourth point for us.
Yeah, we managed to have one of our heavies sit back and wait for enough fuel so we could spawn a second to start pushing up with. We managed to do a pretty good job at linking up, just pushing along the top two squares. We did run, I'm assuming, into, I guess, a few of Jedi Batman's crew members there that had pushed out pretty far, so we did get held up for a little bit. But from there, we managed to just kind of pull our heads out and get into a good offensive position, basically to start smashing the point. Pretty early on, we did cop a shot coming out from basically south of the point, and our spotters pretty quick to pick up what I can remember as one Panther, one Panzer IV. Yeah, managed to get the jump on those guys pretty quick. took them both out, and that allowed our other tank crew with Lucky to just keep engaging with HEs on the point, where he managed to smash the Gary, and that's when we thought everything was coming up Millhouse, pushing the tanks into the point. Everything seemed to be going well, but obviously we lost our attacking Gary in the blue zone, and next thing you know, I swore. Next thing you know, we've got bloody outposts behind us, ATs everywhere. It was just a bit of a hard flog as soon as our infi started dropping. And I don't know about you, Josh, but getting those outposts up, how was that going on the point? Would have been pretty hectic, eh?
Oh, dude, yeah. They're arty, man. Just the amount of times we got killed off our Gary or outpost. Once we managed to get them up, must have built 10, 15 Gary. They just, sometimes you couldn't move, man. It was hard around that middle area in that northern area where we're fighting Batman's squad around the barn there, north of the chapel.
Yeah, shit. Yeah, it was hard even for us, man. We haven't had a
Might jump in here just in the interest of time, because I do want to ask this, because both Joshy and Beer have said it, Jedi. How good are your arty? And I know that's not a question, but I'll frame it into one for you. How important is your arty to your overall strategy now? Because I reckon, and I might be biased here to the Oceanic teams, but your arty might possibly be the best in the TPL. You don't have to agree with that part, but did that get you the win today, that arty pressure?
like TFMC, like all credit to you, shut down our arty for about 20 minutes. We didn't even have them on guns because you came in with
Was it a tank?
Yeah, you brought a tank in and we couldn't. So, but like, yeah, our arty is good and our comms are good for the arty. Like we give accurate, precise pings with, we need 3 rounds HE, King Mark or whatever. They are great on how they do it, and we set up good defenses for it. But everyone knows that now. Like everyone knows when you're playing us that you have to shut up our arty if you want a chance, and you guys did that. But we were just. I think we were just the thing that gave us an edge. Is we sort of had full squads that were able to pack a punch. For so long we've had sort of hands tied behind our back. We've been running smaller squads and haven't been able to outmuscle, but now we are, and I think that's what gave us the 5-0. Like, I don't think we've beaten you guys 5-0. I think I don't remember beating you guys 5-0 anyway. Like, we've obviously beaten you and you've beaten us, but it's always been 3-2 or 4-1 either side.
Agreed.
Yeah, we sort of threw everything at that middle, man. Once that last 5 minutes, gave up those last 2 points. It was do or die pretty much.
Just even talking about it now, and don't hold this against me, Jedi, because I am unbiased. You know that I love both clans, but I'm still grumpy. I can't believe we didn't get the chapel there. I am very concerned about time because I don't want to do this to Tritium again. So the match ended, and we talked about this before I started the recording, pretty much with a cap race at the chapel, and I'll do everything I can to make sure it's in my video as well. For the three of you, and we'll start with Joshy, then we'll go to Jedi, and we'll finish with Beer. That cap race for me was one of the most. I'll use some words from Hotter, or as Drakey calls him, Yoda. It was sweaty. It was sweaty palms time. That cap race was amazing. Joshy, from your perspective, A, did you think we were going to get it? And B, why didn't it happen? I shouldn't say we. Did you think TFMC were going to get it? And why didn't it happen? And then we'll work for it. You can answer, did you think TFMC were going to get it? Hold on a sec. And then Jedi, you can tell us, did you think TFMC were going to get it? And then why didn't they? And then B, you can give us the tank perspective. So Joshy, off you go.
Man, we were a bee's nub away from getting it in those last 3 minutes. But they had that Panzer IV behind the church there, and body parts were going everywhere, dude. And yeah, once they put that reinforce on, it sort of turned it in their favour. Saved their bacon, man. Yeah, no, but full credit to them, man. It was what a turnaround for them.
Yeah, like she got pretty sweaty there, but my squad had just pushed off to attack again. So we came back and we're sort of able to outflank again, just coming from the side, and we had the Panzer IV, not Panzer IV, Panther helped a lot, and then put that reinforce down, and me and I think it was Kiwi Bro came in from the side and dusted like 3 or 4 each, just in the back. Like you guys didn't see it coming, and then it just ticked straight over to defend. And then from there, we felt pretty confident because we had I think it was another heavy tank pushing WN5 with a full 6-man squad. And then once that reinforce came in, once my squad got back, because we all got back into the circle, so you guys have to double us in the circle. You're going to have 12 in there, and that's a lot when you got both lots of arty flying on top of it.
Yeah, man.
It was sweetie though. Like it really could have gone
We were
either way.
shouting, we're like Joshy was stay alive, stay alive, stay in the circle, and every time one of us would go, there'd just be this loud shout of pain. Beer, give us the tank perspective. Were you up there at the cap race, or were you back at WN?
Yeah, at the very beginning of that push, we lucked out. We managed to kind of scoop around the back of the point in a Stewart and hit a good ping for the Gary on point, which led to the inevitable, I guess, kind of massive push that we managed to kind of pull off out of nowhere. We did get a Gary down behind the point, which obviously Jedi, you guys are really good at helping push that off. But it did help open up a bit of a gap to get some more of the Impy in. I think we ended up getting a satchel on that Panther, which was kind of like the moment for us where we're just like, cool, hey, look, we've still got skin in this game. We just need to overcommit. We just kind of opted to pull a lot of people from everywhere, defense, arty, whatever, to spawn off that Gary. But yet again, by the time our tank went up, I was just on the ground, running around like a dickhead. I can't shoot for shit, so I can't really say I did much to help aside from just lying down in the point and praying a little bit. But yeah, no, it was just a good, fun little push, hey. And you guys did great to shut it down.
It's funny how all of these matches that I get to be a part of, and thank you for having me, but they always boil down to this sort of one crucial moment. Even 50A last week, Josh, it was that last big push on the second last objective that we rolled there, and this match today, it came down to that cap race, and then it was pretty much all over. Red Rover. Good match. I think we're going to have to wrap there because I don't want to go too far over, but I've got a couple of follow-up questions just to finish the interview. Firstly, TFMC boys, you do not have to answer this, but you're more than welcome to. You're out of the comp now. Commiserations. I hope we see you back in season 2. Who's your pick to go on and win grand final? You don't have to answer. You can just say, no, Frankie, shut up.
Man, 7's been sort of the team to beat for the last 12 months, I think. But I'm back in the 11th, guys, the Australian boys. I think they can do it, man, if they get the right crew in the right places and the right map. And
it's a bit of good Aussie spirit. Your Edge, you want to have a go, or are you going to say no?
Yeah. Well, look, all of our hope and thoughts are behind the 11th. Obviously, you guys are probably our closest mates over here. So, we wish you the best. And you guys have definitely stepped up your game over the last 2 years since I've been playing against you. So, you got me in your corner either way. But I think for me, I'm probably just going to drop the TFMC tags and join the 6th so I can beat the shit out of you somewhere else, all right?
Oh,
You can try.
I don't know. I've got to stop laughing. You're so funny. Jedi, you can't comment on that one, and I'd never make you do it, mate, because I respect you too much. No. But I tell you what, though, I've got a spicier question for you, and then I promise, Tritium, we'll do the wrap up. Matchup above you on the table is KRRC versus HLLE, if I'm not mistaken, or one other team, but KRRC. Would you like to see them in the next round, Jedi?
Just no. Nah. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think we'll see KRC in the next round.
they're solid.
They're a great clan. Like they go toe to toe with the 7th. Like for me, it's always been KRC and the 7th, who are probably can beat each other on any day. Depends which clan's having the better day, and then the rest of us are playing catch up. So, I want to play the best, and just whoever wins that game is going to be the best, and we look forward to playing them in the final. But Could I just say something to the 11th boys that hopefully just listen to this? We've obviously gone through the ringer the last month or so with the six merging away, pulling away from us, and that's happened. And good luck to them. But we're trying over the last 18 months when I've been involved in the clan. We're trying to build like a proper brotherhood, like mates who support each other. Who it's more than a game for a lot of us boys. And I feel as though that showed in today's game. Like, we don't panic anymore. We don't get stressed. We win together, we lose together, and that's what we're trying to build. So, and I think that actually shined through a lot today. Like, there's no bullshit, no backstabbing, no snakes anymore. We can play the way we want to play, which is aggressive and daring, and that's how we pulled off the victory. We're not conservative. We're going to go for a 5-0 every time.
Mate, passionate words from a bloke that's passionate about the 11th. You guys sent me a little 11th patch through the week, and I was stoked to receive it. I'm very proud of his getting the win against who I think, and I don't think you'd mind me saying this, who I thought would have gone on to be big powerhouses this season. TFMC is not an easy beat. So congratulations to you for sure, and congratulations for what you've said there, rallying the boys together. I'm sure they'll be proud to hear that, and I hope Tritium includes it in this. And if he doesn't, that's totally fine. I might just release it on the channel so all the boys can definitely hear that, because I know they'd like to. TFMC, boys, congratulations, Jedi. Good luck in the next round. Going back to that KRRC stuff, I completely agree. I think back to a year ago with the whole 11th and KRC drama. I think that's in the past now. I'd love to see you two clans, go up against each other. They had a big friendly match against the 7th recently, and apparently from more reports it was absolutely wild. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't want to rule out the team that's versing them. I think it was HLLE, so no shade there. We'll see what happens. All right, that's enough. I've wasted enough of your evening. Thank you very much for helping us out here, boys. See you next time.
Cheers, Frankie.
Hey, boys.
Cheers, Frank.
All right. Well, thank you, Frank, for taking the time to organize and record that post-match interview for us. We really appreciate it. Next up, we've got a post-match interview for the KRRC and HLLE match. I believe Caparzo recorded that one for us. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
All right. How's everyone going? This is the post-match interview for the KRRC versus Hell Let Loose Elite. I am joined by Q Asian and Rylux from the Hell Let Loose Elite, along with Hercules and myself from the KRC perspective. So first off, let's do a quick synopsis of the map, what happened. I guess we can stop burying the lead a bit and announce that this was a 5-0 victory for Hell Let Loose Elite on Carentan Warfare. So first of all, congratulations, guys. I hope I wish you all the success moving forward with this. And just how would you say, what were the keys for today's match? What would you say were the biggest things coming in that you knew that you needed to execute on? And how did you go about executing those?
I'll probably start with an infantry perspective here. And thank you for the match, boys. It was a really great game, tough fought out. With Warfare considered, it's always vital to get that middle cap straight away. And that's kind of what we went for. Practiced routes in, to and from different areas of the map and how we were going to achieve that. And, that was well executed today. That gave this the initial cap and gave us a good strong point to push off of.
Just to back up what Q said, first of all, great match from you guys. Much respect. And I've got to say, that's probably my favourite match of Hell Let Loose I've ever played from my perspective. And just to go on to what he said, obviously from the Armour perspective, we knew that there was going to be a tough battle for that middle point, and obviously neutralising that initial medium was our highest priority. We managed to get out there with our recon and do our bits and bobs that we needed to do, but yeah, so we knew we needed to neutralise that armour to get that cap.
Yeah, and I would say Hercules, I don't mean to interrupt here, but when I saw the initial point was town center, and then on either side you had the ruins, which had its own advantages being so close in proximity to town center, and then on our side, obviously, we had customs, which is a notoriously difficult point to take as well. So I think it was always going to come down to that middle point and who secured it initially, and then who maintained it. That's like 9/10 of a match, especially when you have the map oriented in the way that it was. But go ahead, Hercules. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, man, what a hell of a match. We had a blast from the get go. I say a blast. I was frustrated the whole time. But I remember saying to my squad lead as soon as we got in, I was like, "Oh, town center's middle point. This is gonna be an interesting match."
And I just want to also welcome in Thibodeau, who's also joining in from the KRRC. And so, Tibbs, just to bring you up to speed, we're talking about the beginning of the match and the how important the middle point is. And what was your sort of impression when you saw that, first of all, we were going to have town center as the midpoint, and then we had customs and they had ruins on their side. So what was your initial thoughts as on loading into that match?
So we were postured to be defensive, go straight for the circle immediately, and then either hold that territory, or if we lose it, fall back and help defend. So we're watching the crossing. That's like, I know I got to get up there eventually. And so once we lost center, we're up there at customs, and I could just never hold that crossing. Over and over, I'm trying to get over there, and that became my own personal battle, was holding that crossing.
No, totally. It's all about the little battles that you need to fight throughout the match is all plays into the big picture. So, coming back to you guys in Hell Let Loose Elite. So, again, talking about the midpoint, you guys really played well in that early game. So you mentioned practicing different routes to the midpoint and how that kind of plays into a lot of what you prepared to do. Is this a scenario that you practice for? Is this a map that you look to practice with? It carries a lot of nuance, maybe compared to a little bit more of the opened map. So what was your take about that from infantry? And then I'd also be also very interested into hearing how the tankers play into that, because we all know that these city maps don't necessarily play to a lot of armor strengths.
Yeah, it's a good point. Unfortunately, we don't get to pick the maps, and certainly not the points. So it's not necessarily a midpoint that we'd practice going to, but more just the general organisation and structure of how we're going to approach a point and where we're going to set up our defensive and attacking positions on there. Once we managed to secure midpoint, I mean, you guys did a fantastic job encircling us, and it was a real slog at times there. I died a fair few times to artillery as well, which was, it made it interesting. But it's then about kind of pushing out and holding the defensive perimeter around the point, and I think we did well there to establish that.
Yeah, certainly. So what about from the tanking perspective? Is any differences that come into mind with an urban map?
It's quite interesting, because we actually had a friendly game on Carentan, and we used the column for that specific point, and it was really impactful. So I think naturally when the game started, we lent into that. So the point kind of forced us to really double up our tanks and push through and establish that forward defense.
Yeah, I was certainly a victim to that at one point. Just to interrupt you for a moment, when you were pulling up on the ruin side of town center, my squad was kind of positioned in the backyard with an OP there, and we saw the 76 and the 75 roll up in tandem together. And then it's just like, there's only so much AT equipment you have at your disposal, especially when you have two tanks that you're dealing with in a close proximity. So definitely was effective in that instance.
Yeah, you see two tanks roll up like that, your first reaction's like, well.
Big props to the AT guys tonight. They did cause us a lot of issues in that town centre area. After the recon, we was on the heavy, defending that point. So if you was attacking there, you probably would have run into us a couple of times. And God, we was 180 in every other minute just to deal with you guys. It was intense.
Yeah, it was. I thought maybe like it was a Tony Hawk type of move where you guys were kick flipping the tank up with all that rubble and stuff that's in the middle of the thing. It's just, battling hell let loose physics with tanks is always an interesting thing to see from outside of the tank. So I could only imagine what was going on inside of it.
Well,
So
funny enough, we lost in the end. A 180 too far. We glitched into the sandbags, and one of your Panthers had a nice easy kill on us. So hell let loose one in that regard.
yeah, you never could dismiss the element that the hell let loose jankiness sometimes can play into in each individual gunfight. So I guess in that vein, you mentioned the fact that you really can't practice these specific scenarios with the map and tools and stuff that we have at our disposal now, and with the hell let loose jankiness and that, and from our perspective, I'm an East Coast player, so we had a lot of our tankers kind of disconnect in the beginning of the match, which is not something you want to happen. And I just kept thinking to myself how great it would be if we could have a little bit more of a stable environment for these sorts of things, because you mentioned that this is one of the most intense matches you played. I looked down at my hands a few times. I was certainly the adrenaline was pumping, and I just wish that we can have these sorts of games more regularly. So with that being said, moving forward, you're playing the 11th on in the semifinal round. So looking ahead to that, them being an Australian clan, everything that we talked in this, in regards to, how those sorts of things can play out. Is there anything going into this that you're planning differently? Is maybe tanking a lesser focus if you're playing on Oceania servers? What's kind of going into looking ahead, if you're started looking ahead yet?
I'll jump in this just quickly because this is going to be it's going to be a different match entirely. That lag will change everything. I think that's something that we actually need to discuss. I think we was focused on dealing with this. Like, we gave you all the respect that a top team deserves, so we wasn't thinking too much ahead. So we'll have that conversation going forward. But yeah, definitely tanks won't be moving around so freely. Let's put it that way.
That's definitely for sure. And we again wish you all the luck in the world moving forward, and we hope to see you guys find yourself in the grand finals. And I hope that I could maybe get a spot on either team and maybe bring some of the broadcasts to the wider audience. So I'm looking forward to that. Tibbs and Hercules, do you have any last notes from our perspective? Any things that you maybe noticed on our side that maybe we didn't touch on so much here?
Yeah, just that pressure was it was relentless. You guys never let up, kept foot on the gas the whole time. That's what was needed for you, and you did a hell of a job at it. A great match, great job, guys. Very good game.
Completely agree. I was on customs most of the match, and it was relentless. Y'all kept getting into the north, and it was relentless, man. We did everything we could.
All the different directions. Sorry.
And then once you had customs, I couldn't get back in. You had some spicy tank just mad at me with my silly OP up in what is that, like H3 or something.
Yeah, that might have been us.
Y'all were relentless, man. Much just great respect to you. It was a great match.
Yeah, I said to myself when we were kind of trying to probe back into customs and try to make something happen there, I said to myself, if I'm in their shoes, I'm just, I'm not putting a soul on the attack right now. Maybe like a small attack just to keep everyone honest, but that point is like nearly impossible to take. And if you have a 4-1 victory, it's the playoffs, you're moving on either way, and you eliminate that possibility of a domino type of catastrophe occurring. So props to you guys for being so on top of it. You guys had that Gary down immediately once the point was taken, and you started rotating guys up there. So again, amazing job. All the respect that you guys deserve moving forward.
Likewise. Not enough credit goes out to you guys. You was absolutely superb tonight and kept us absolutely on the edge of our seats. We had to be at our very best to get something from this, and that's a credit to you guys.
Well, thanks, gentlemen.
Yeah, definitely echo what Rick said. It was a great battle and well fought, so thank you for that.
course. I look forward to the eventual rematch and maybe doing some more of these friendlies in the off season to, keep everyone sharp and most importantly have a good time. So thank you all for joining. I really appreciate you all taking the time after this match to join in here. And again, congratulations, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys in the next round.
Thank you very much.
guys.
Yeah, we'll definitely have another one. That was a good fight.
Gotta get something lined up.
Yeah, see you season 2.
Thank you for the invite.
See you next season, lads.
All right. Well, you heard it from the first-hand perspective from the teams who participated in that match, and it was a good one. All right, moving on from there, we're going to go ahead and kind of look at where we're at right now. Moving into the semifinals, HLLE is going to come up against the 11th, and 7th Legion is going to come up against WRTB. Once again, excited to see who's going to make it to that grand final. Everybody stay tuned. It's exciting.
So for both of these matchups, we, of course, polled the community again. For the 7th versus WRTB matchup, the 7th had 88% of the vote from the community. Pretty lopsided result there.
Once again, I think the community is seeing the record that the 7th Legion holds. Between the comp matches and the friendlies that everybody has with them, the 7th is just a force to be reckoned with. Undefeated in the People's League so far. I think the community sees that, and they're just placing their money on the safe bet. But that does make WRTB the underdog, and we all know that underdogs have a chance. I'm excited.
Always a chance. Always a chance. And for the other match, that's the 11th versus HLLE match. HLLE got 59% of the community vote. So that's a closer result there, but there's still a clear favorite.
There is a clear favorite, and I think that comes from the quarterfinals match. I think in the quarterfinals match, the majority of, even though it was a very close poll, the majority of the community voted in favor of KRRC to win that match, but KRRC did not. So I'm thinking the community sees that now, and they're maybe taking another look at HLLE as a team. They seem to have some stuff up their sleeve, so maybe that's why the community voted that way. I know that the 11th has historically been a great team. We see that again in the overview, that 11th in the group phase actually had more victories than HLLE did. Yet in the finals, we're seeing the community vote for HLLE. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it all comes down to which group each team was in. HLLE might have just had a stronger group. I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting match. Both teams are definitely very good. Yeah, just looking forward to both of these matches.
As am I.
All right, so you want to talk a little bit about Update 14?
Oh yeah, here's what we know. We have gotten a little bit more detail about the upcoming update, Update 14. I'd like to talk about what's coming in and how it can affect TPL, what new features that we're looking forward to, and maybe a couple of features that we're not looking forward to.
Awesome. Let's get into it.
All right, what do we want to look at first? How about the maps?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the British update. Of course, we got 2 maps coming, Drill and El Alamein.
Yeah, we got to talk about Drill first.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This map is based on a location that was part of Operation Market Garden, and this is another bridge map, a lot like Remagen. What do you think about that?
Man, I'm hearing a lot of fears from the community. Part of the reason that we all love and hate Remagen is the bridge. The bridge with the uncrossable river except for the bridge. So I think a lot of people are afraid of the dynamic that this map is going to bring, especially since if we examine closely, we see that the river is just to the north of the center of the map. We've got 9 strong points south of the river and 6 strong points north of the river. So it does lead to a little bit of potential for imbalance.
Yeah, I'm a little I'm a little afraid about that. Basically about everything you just mentioned, like another bridge map. I mean, I already hate Remagen about as much as you can hate a map other than Stalingrad. And the fact that the middle points are all on the British side of the map is a bit problematic to me. Now, I will say, based on where the points are located, they're technically further up into the German side of the map, but the German side of the map has less land. So I don't know if that's enough to offset it. One of the interesting things about this map that differentiates itself from Remagen is the fact that, or, well, I shouldn't say the fact that because we haven't seen the map yet. But
The hope that.
yeah, the hope, it appears that there are more locations to cross the river than just the bridge. So it looks like there may be 2 to 3 locations where you can cross on the west side, and maybe 1 or 2 locations you can cross on the right, on the east.
Well, from what I heard, and I can't remember where I heard this, but I believe that some points of this river are going to be shallow enough for infantry to wade across. Now, if infantry can wade across, there's the possibility that you can drive a truck across. So hopefully that's going to be the saving grace of this river. It will be crossable, we hope.
Very much hope so. Any thoughts on the rest of the map? I'll be honest, it looks kind of devoid of any urban areas.
Yeah, very sparse. I'm not seeing very much symbology for like trees or cover, trench lines. It looks to be a couple of buildings spread across the farmland, and we might have some hedgerows. We're probably going to have some bushes. But other than that, I'm not seeing a whole lot of exciting terrain.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of fields, wheat fields, things like that. Might be a lot of open area.
Yeah, and I tell you, I haven't really given much consideration to the rest of the map. Every time I look at this map, all I can really focus on is the west side of that river. We do see, if anybody is looking at the new map, we do see like some boats and stuff over there just south of Boatyard. And I do think that Boatyard's going to end up being one of the more interesting points of that map.
Oh yeah, I like that that particular objective has the strong point in particular has both land and water within the strong point. I think that kind of adds to some interest as far as the location in general. I don't know. I think it could be a different experience fighting over that spot.
So I think it's funny that you are talking about having an equal mix between land and water right there, and that being a good thing, because I'm looking at another point, that very center point, railway bridge. Now we see a very equal amount of land and water on the south side of that bridge, and it looks like the German lines are going to have a bit of disadvantage. If we land on the railway bridge as being one of the strong points, they're going to have to push across that bridge, whereas the British side is going to have some land to kind of build a defensive screen. That German side's going to have one push straight up the middle, unless they can get established with an airhead or a garrison east or west on the south side of that river.
Yeah, I think what helps the Germans here is just the fact that the strong point is mostly on the German side of the map. So, assuming you take off at the beginning of the match and you book it to the middle, if the middle is an objective, assuming you take off right at the beginning and you book it to the middle, you've got a chance to defend your spot.
If there is any amount of fluctuation in how you get there or the speed that you get there and you just don't get there quite in time, that's going to be a hard point to take back.
Yeah, definitely. Let's take a look at El Alamein, the second map that's coming out. So this one's going to be totally new for Hell Let Loose in that this is a desert map. This map is located in Egypt on the North African front, and this one's pretty interesting.
I'll say, no bushes.
Yeah, no bushes. Based on the contour lines of this map, it looks like there's going to be some pretty good variation in elevation throughout the map.
Yeah, man. And I got to say, I know that we spoke on this just a little bit before we started the recording of this episode. I just got to go right back to it. The quarry. I'm excited to see that. I think there's going to be quite a bit of verticality in that strong point. I'm excited to see how quick that elevation changes and how much of that elevation change we're going to be able to traverse as players.
Oh, yeah. I think another interesting location just for elevation is going to be Valley. So that's the southernmost point in the middle of the map. And, it looks pretty urban there, but all of the terrain around the valley is raised up. So could be some interesting battles there. The other thing that's interesting to me about Valley is that it's kind of an urban location. There are a lot of buildings there. And that kind of gives me some Kharkov vibes. Like, if you look at just various points on this map, there are quite a few buildings, which I thought was interesting about Kharkov because, it's got those really good urban spots, and then it also has some empty land as well.
But I think one of the biggest differences that we're going to see between Kharkov and El Alamein, the buildings in El Alamein seem to be grouped more. I would say that roughly we're seeing about the same amount of buildings, but they're just in groupings. We've got a group of buildings at Valley. We've got a small group of buildings on the far east side at Ambushed Convoy. We've got Hamlet Ruins, a small group of what we assume are buildings, but could end up being desert ruins. It's all sparsely populated, but it seems to be densely populated in the areas that it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think almost all of the strong points here have some buildings of some sort. So it should be really interesting to play on. And then, of course, we have the main feature of the map over on the east side, the airfield.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this entire airfield plays out. It looks like the airfield is split up between 3 points running north to south. On the north side, we have Fuel Depot. In the center, we have Airfield Command. And at the bottom, we have airfield hangars. Now, if we look just to the west of Airfield Command, we're going to see a group of trenches in approximately Fox 5, let's say Keypad 2, 2, and 3. I'm excited to see how that group of trenches, which seems to me to be at a higher elevation than the airfield, I'm excited to see how that elevation is going to help teams control Airfield Command or control Fuel Depot. Especially Fuel Depot doesn't seem to have a lot of buildings. Airfield Command may have a few. How are we going to see that elevation change help or hinder teams? Are we going to see something similar to the Beachhead experience?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point, and I'm glad that you brought it up. If you look from Desert Rat trenches in the north, in the middle of the map, Fox 3, and down into that location that you were talking about in Fox 5, all of that seems to be raised up pretty well, and that location in Fox 5 with the trenches seems to be potentially the highest point on the map.
Just maybe. I don't know. I'm excited to get the boots on the ground and see this map in person. There's a lot of speculation here. We're just looking at the map from the regular map view. I would love to see and form some new opinions after we get some boots on the ground and we see exactly how this map is going to be laid out.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited to play this.
A desert version of Kharkov. You know what my least favorite map is from any of the new maps that aren't part of the OG maps?
I know you're not going to say Kharkov.
It's Kharkov.
Are you serious?
I cannot stand Kharkov. Kharkov and Kursk. And for those who've listened multiple times, you're going to see my hated maps. They change. They change every week. I change the maps that I hate about as often as I change my pants. Today, Kharkov, my least favorite map.
Wow. Wow. I think Kharkov is a great map.
No, I think you're full of it. I hate it.
Kursk Knight is a pretty good map too.
I will say that I hate the daytime version of Kursk. It's one of my least favorite maps, but the nighttime version of Kursk is one of my favorite maps because they add that fog, and it adds just I don't know, an element of surprise, an element of who's going to be right around this corner. I can't see. There's too much fog there. Let's go find out.
Yeah. Speaking of night maps, do you think either of these maps will have a night version? They didn't say that they would release night versions of these maps, so more than likely not. But I think it could be kind of interesting if they did.
You know, I hadn't given that any thought, but it would definitely be interesting. Well, I know we see the night map version on a lot of the maps, not all of them, but I am excited to see if they release a night map version for these in the future. If the Driel is going to be as flat and barren as I think it's going to be, I think a night map is a must.
Yeah, I think a night version of that would be so cool because if the river is shallow like we expected, that will provide a lot of opportunity for infantry to sneak across, infantry and vehicles to sneak across.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking about El Alamein, I know that you've played Foy on day and night, and I'm going to ask you a question, and I need you to be completely honest with me here. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is there any difference?
Absolutely. What are you talking about?
No, between Foy day and Foy night, there's hardly any difference. The lighting doesn't change. There's no visibility hindrance. There's hardly any change at all. And I think that if they added a night version of El Alamein, I think it's going to be along the same thing. They're not going to be able to add fog because it's a desert. So there's not going to be a lot of visibility hindrances.
You are crazy. Foy night is a million times better.
No, it's the same. It's the exact.
No
the moon in Foy is just as
way.
bright as the sun in Foy. It's crazy.
Oh man, I can't believe these opinions.
Hey, just remember, these are my opinions and my opinions alone. None of the opinions expressed here represent the league or the officials.
Oh wow. So next we have several weapons that are coming with the British update. Let's just run through those really quick. So we got the Lanchester Mark 1. By the way, a lot of these weapons, or some of these weapons rather, I'm not super familiar with. So like the Lanchester, for instance. So we have the Lanchester Mark 1, that's an SMG. And what I could find about it was basically that it kind of came into service after the events at Dunkirk. Should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this gun either, but I almost guarantee you we're looking at something similar to a PPSH or maybe even a slower rate of fire closer to the Thompson. Probably something in between. I don't know too much about this. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see how uncontrollable the recoil is going to be and learn a new gun.
Yeah, based on the magazine in the model rendering, it looks like the magazine might hold quite a few rounds. It might be a pretty decent SMG.
Yeah, and if you're looking at that barrel shrouding, we see quite a lot of vents, which to me says that it's going to have to handle a lot of heat, which means high rate of fire. So I'm thinking it's going to be very similar to the PPSH in handling.
Yep. Next, we got the Sten. I'm sure many people are familiar with the Sten gun from various other games. So this is also an SMG. And, the Sten was made as a cheaper alternative to the Lanchester and the Tommy gun, the Thompson, that was in use by the United States. As far as in-game goes, I think this is probably going to be like a grease gun. The Sten gun does not have, at least as far as I've heard, the Sten gun does not have a great reputation for reliability. So that's kind of why I consider it to be similar to the grease gun. I don't know.
Well, and if you want to go a little bit deeper, if you look at the sights there, it looks like they're going to be just as big a pain as the grease gun as well. You're going to be looking at looking at a bit of visibility hindrance around the actual site. But I gotta say, I'm hoping that the slower, I assume, rate of fire, similar to the grease gun, I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit more controllable and maybe even a headshot magnet like the grease gun is.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even notice those kind of chunky sights on there.
Oh, they look terrible. That front sight is like a triangle, and the back sight is like a circle that you got to look through. And it looks like that's gonna, cut off a little bit of the play screen, kind of similar to the grease gun in terms of sight. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So next we got the Bren Mark II. Many people might also be familiar with the Bren from various other games. It's an LMG, and the distinctive feature here is the magazine that goes on top. It's like a banana mag almost that fits in on top. The Bren was known to have a slower firing rate, and it's got a 30 round mag.
Yeah, so the 30 round mag, I did a little bit of looking on this gun. The 30 round mag was the standard that was used in World War II. However, they did have drum magazines and plate magazines that went in capacity up to 60 to 75 rounds per mag. I'm not sure if they released the details of the mag that's going to be used in Hell Let Loose. Do you know?
I have no clue. Maybe they let you have all of the magazines in various loadouts.
Are they going to add a modification system now?
I hope not.
Well, like I said, that standard magazine was the 30 round magazine used in World War II. So I imagine that they're probably going to use the 30 round mag in Hell Let Loose.
Yeah, more than likely. I would imagine. Would be interesting though if they gave you different ones based on the loadout. But next we've got the.
I gotta say, one of the things I would love to see with the Bren, with it being a slower fire rate, and I know that they're not going to do it, but one of the things I would love to see is to be able to shoulder mount it. You've got a smaller mag, a slower firing rate. I assume that the firing rate is going to be something similar, maybe just a little bit faster than the bar. Do you know how fast the firing rate is for the Bren?
I have no clue.
Well, they let us shoulder mount the bar, so let's hope for the Bren.
Yeah. Next, we got the Lee Enfield P14. So this is a rifle, of course. Lee Enfield rifles were used in both World Wars. This one, of course, has a 5-round magazine, which I believe is standard for Lee Enfield rifles. It's bolt action. I'm thinking this is probably the standard rifle that the British will have, similar to how the standard rifle for the Germans is the Kar 98, and the M1 is standard for the US. What do you think about that?
That's what I was just gonna say, man. I think we're gonna see the Lee Enfield P14 used in the same capacity as the Kar 98. The Kar is used from anywhere from rifleman all the way to sniper. So I'm excited to see which classes are going to have access to this rifle and the next rifle that we talk about.
Yeah, so the next gun we've got here is the Lewis gun. That's an LMG, and this was also used through both World Wars. And you might know the Lewis gun from its classic cooling shroud. It makes the front of the gun look huge.
Huge, but unmistakable.
Yeah, oh yeah. And it also has that pan magazine on top. So I looked up the Lewis gun. It actually has 2 magazine variants, the 47 and 97 round. I'd be interested to know if we get options for both of those.
Maybe this is going to be on that MG class, and maybe they're going to give us a reason to level that class up a little bit more. Maybe if you want the bigger mag, you got to get to level 7 MG.
Oh yeah. And next we've got, for the AT players out there, we've got the Piat, the Projector Infantry Anti-Tank. So this is kind of a weapon that's based on a mortar system. It was pretty interesting because it didn't have any backblast. So there was less chance of the enemy kind of knowing where you were firing from, and also less chance of hurting friendlies. Because, any friendlies behind you, that is. The only thing with this weapon, though, is that it had a lot of recoil. So interesting to see if that's something that makes it into the game or not.
Well, and with those things that you mentioned, with it being based on a mortar system, with it having an insane amount of recoil, and with it having the little mounting stand, if we have seen the picture of a Piat, I think this weapon is going to need to be mounted to be used.
That will be interesting. Especially considering how Hell Let Loose handles bipod mounting and that sort of thing. Ooh.
Well, we saw them first introduce the mounted anti-tank system in the Soviet class with that rifle. So it might be along the same lines of maybe they're going to add more mountable AT stuff.
Yeah, potentially. Speaking of that Soviet rifle, I'm a little surprised we didn't see the boys AT rifle.
I am not sure what you're talking about.
The boys AT rifle was kind of you might call it like the British version of the Soviet AT rifle. Or I mean not, they were probably independently developed, but you get what I'm saying. Like they're kind of analogs of one another. Basically like it was this huge rifle. I think they called it like an elephant gun. That was used for AT purposes.
Is that one that had to be broken down to be moved?
I have no idea. Potentially.
Yeah, fair. I need to look at that.
Next up, we got the rifle number 4 Mark 1. So this is also a Lee Enfield. This is just a variant of the Lee Enfield. It's also bolt action. I would assume it's got a 5-round magazine. I'm thinking this is probably the sniper variant. Not 100% certain on that, but I do know that a number of these that were manufactured became sniper rifles.
I would like to see it. We do know, like you said, that that's going to be another bolt action rifle. So if this is the sniper variant, it will be nice to see a little bit of variance between that and the Lee Enfield P14. Otherwise, it seems to me that we've just got 2 of the same rifles on the field.
Yeah, it's also possible that we just get both of these right. Maybe there's a non-sniper variant of this rifle because the model that was in the dev blog doesn't have a scope on it. So it could just be that the British have 2 different rifles. I don't know.
Maybe so. And we looked this up. I mean, we're certain that it's a bolt action rifle, right? It's not like a semi-auto variant. So what's the differentiating factor?
The only thing I can think of is maybe accuracy.
Yeah, maybe the sights. You might be right. Maybe the sights.
So we got a couple weapons left. Next is the Webley Mark 6 pistol. So this is a 45 caliber revolver. It's got a top break on it, so that's pretty interesting. You when you break the pistol, I believe it ejects the rounds. So yeah, this is a really old pistol. It's used in both World Wars. I believe it was produced in I don't know, it might be 1914 or something. I just know it's a really old pistol.
Well, with what you were saying with that top break, I am excited to see how they're going to handle the reload animation for that. Should be a brand new reload animation. They won't be able to start with the baseline of one of the others and then modify it to fit. It's going to have to be an entirely new reload animation.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. And finally, we've got the Fairbairn Sykes knife. So this is pretty much just looks like a dagger to me. It's a fighting knife that I believe was issued to various parts of the British forces, including the SAS and airborne and so on.
Yeah, and if I can remember my history right, the British military went to the company Fairbairns and Sykes and said, "Listen, we need a knife that's going to pretty much be able to handle anything." And this is the design that they came up with, a very utilitarian design. You see a handle that's made for ergonomic grip. You see a straight blade that's going to be able to stab, slice, and possibly defend with that length and with that cross guard. So I'm excited to see it come into the game. I know that we're not going to be having any sword fights out there, but hey, maybe with Shovel Knight Thursdays, we'll be able to see the Fairburn Sykes knife.
Oh yeah, getting a little stabby.
Stabby stab.
All right, you want to take us through the vehicles?
Yeah, now moving into our most exciting part, the part that we're all wanting to hear about. We've got the vehicles that are coming with the Update 14, the British Forces. We're going to start off talking about the Sherman 76mm Firefly. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a heavy tank.
They didn't say specifically that this was going to be a heavy tank, but I believe it will be. The reason being that this is basically a 75 Sherman, a Sherman 75, so a medium tank. But the British fitted the 17-pounder anti-tank gun on it. The 17-pounder was basically a very powerful AT cannon, and I believe probably the most powerful that the Allies had. And yeah, they fitted it right onto this Sherman tank. So it should be very deadly against other heavy tanks.
So let me get this right. You're telling me, let's look at it from the video game as we know it, that standpoint. You're telling me that they took the gun from an American 76 and they put it onto the chassis of an American 75 medium. Are we going to be looking at the speed that the medium has with the firepower that the heavy has? Are we looking at another Panther situation?
Well, this isn't a gun. This isn't the gun from the 76 Sherman. This is actually a much bigger gun, a much more powerful gun. This is actually, so imagine taking the AT gun, okay, like the one that the AT player can build, and throwing that on top of a tank.
All right, so good stuff. Now, here's going to bring me to my next fear. If we've got that insane amount of firepower on the speed of a medium tank, there has to be a weakness somewhere. Is it going to be in the armor plating?
I would think so, because ultimately this is a 75 medium. It just has a larger main gun.
I am excited to see it. We know that the next tank that we're going to talk about doesn't have quite a large gun, but could potentially be a very speedy tank. What do we know about the Cromwell?
You just about mentioned everything that I know about the Cromwell.
Sweet, that's all I know too.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it other than it's supposed to be a fast and reliable tank. It's a medium. I guess it'll probably have the same properties as a 75, I would guess.
Now, am I right in understanding that we did not get to see an actual in-game model of the Cromwell?
Not that I'm yes, we did.
We did?
Yeah, we did. So if you take a look at the episode notes, you'll see the Cromwell right there, in front of the new British transport truck, which they did not mention the name of in the dev brief.
Now, see, that's what's got me confused. I didn't recognize the truck. Well, it looks to me that the Cromwell is going to be about the same height, maybe just a little bit taller than the cab of a transport truck. Now, I don't know what that British transport truck translates to in size to the trucks that we already know, but that Cromwell just doesn't look to be a very tall tank. It looks to be a little bit longer than an average transport truck, and we know it's going to be speedy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and moving on to our next one. We're starting at the big ones and moving down. We are at the light tank. Now, tell me if I'm saying this wrong. We've got the Tetrarch.
Tetrarch. I
Tetrarch.
think that's right. I have no clue. I have no idea.
That feels very awkward in my mouth. But what we do know about this tank, it is a light tank. You're going to see a track system featuring 4 roller wheels with not a whole lot of armor on the side. Probably, I assume, not a whole lot of armor anywhere because it's a light tank.
Yeah, this thing looks like a death trap, to be honest.
It really does. Now, my question on this one is, do we know what the firing rate of the Tetrarch is going to look like? Is it going to be similar to the Luke's, or is it going to be similar to the light tank for the Americans in terms of fire rate?
That is a great question. I'm pretty interested to see how it turns out in game.
All right, moving on. We've got the Recon tank. Another one that I'm probably butchering the name of. Is it the Daimler?
Daimler, yeah, I believe that's the right way to say it.
Awesome. This looks to be a 4-wheeled Recon tank. I imagine it's probably going to be very fast.
Yeah, it looks kind of like just a large armored Jeep almost.
I was just about to say, I was going to say it looks like a tank on a Jeep.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it. A tank on a Jeep.
I bet this thing's going to be fun to drive around.
I'm excited about it. I love driving the Jeep. If this is anything as fast as the Jeep, it should be a blast.
I actually wonder, speaking of, so we've seen all of the tanks now, or we believe all of the tanks now, all the way down to the Recon tank, and we've seen the transport truck. I assume the supply truck will look just like the transport truck except covered. But will the British have a Jeep alternative?
From what I understand, and I heard this, I say a long time ago, I think it was a couple of months ago that I heard this, and I don't have any way of verifying or backing up or proving what I heard, but I did hear that the British Jeep is just going to be the American Jeep.
Oh, man, I was hoping for something new.
I'm hoping for something new too, but from what I can see, they haven't told us about it in any of the dev briefings as far as a Jeep option for the British. And like I said, I can't remember how I heard that. I don't remember where I heard that. I don't even remember when I heard that. But I do remember hearing that it was just going to be another Jeep. And I hope it's not. I hope we see something new, something interesting, and maybe something that handles just a little bit differently.
Yeah, give us a Land Rover or something.
Give us something fancy for once.
Right. All right. So we have a couple more or a couple things here that might affect TPL going forward, possibly.
Yeah, could be good, could be bad.
Yeah. So the first one is vote to kick, and basically it sounds like it'll take 20. I believe anyone can initiate a vote to kick. And it'll take 20 votes in order for that to succeed. What are your thoughts on that?
I think from an organizational standpoint, it's going to be great because if we do get into an almost empty server, but there's just those couple of blueberries we can't get to leave, I hesitate to say this, we will be able to use the vote to kick system to clean the server for everybody on the teams to get in. With that being said, we are seeing a lot of fear from the non-clan community on how the clans are going to use the vote to kick functionality. So I am going to make a plea to all of the clans and teams who are listening to this. Please don't abuse this system. This system can absolutely make our lives better as far as organization for the league and for these matches, but we don't want to see the abuse of the system that could lead to the devs removing this feature that we've been asking for a very long time.
Yeah, I think their fears are definitely well-founded, because, thinking about myself, if I were just in a public match and, I'm just trying to play the game that I bought, and I'm playing the way that I believe the game should be played. I'm not out here team killing or anything like that, and I get kicked for doing nothing wrong. I can see how that would be a pretty negative experience.
Yeah, and we don't want to alienate the public community from this. We just want to enjoy the game as much as we can on the clan side. I know that one of the things that I saw, one of the fears was that the clans would use this as a kind of an anti-recruitment tool, like either join our crew or we're gonna kick you from the match. I don't think we're gonna see anything like that. That seems a little bit far-fetched.
I sure hope not.
I sure hope not either. I hope that the teams participating in TPL have the grace and professionalism to communicate or attempt to communicate with the Blueberries before we use the vote to kick system.
Yeah, just we just encourage you to try and be good to the community, and try not to make others experience a negative one if you don't have to.
But on the positive side of that, we're going to be able to handle individual players who are creating a negative experience, like we all know him.
Don't say his name. Don't say his name.
He who shall not be named
He who
is
shall be banned soon, hopefully.
he is probably never going to complete another full match ever again.
I hope not.
Yeah, so we do see the potential for possible abuse, but we also see a great potential for gain, to make it better, to deal with the toxic team killers, the toxic commanders, the people yelling over the command chat that you can't get to play the game. Hopefully we're gonna see an end to that with this new system.
Oh yeah. So along with this, we're also getting a new map and mode rotation. When the latest debrief came out, several people were, kind of shooting some questions to Wombat Medic, and here's what she had to say about it. She said that the new rotation ensures that you won't come across the same mode or map more than twice in a row. Now, we know that we have all experienced this. At various times where you're just, especially in TPL, when you're burning for a warfare match and you just keep getting offensive. Hopefully, this is something that will fix that. To go on from what Wombat Medic was saying, she said that all this rotation allows for is to ensure it's not repeatedly playing the same map or mode, which can sometimes happen in the current state.
Now, I think it's important in that same message. Wombat also says, "I don't believe the rotation could be any worse than it currently is." And what that says to me is the dev team is listening and they're trying to find ways to make it happen.
That's right. Yeah, they're definitely trying to make our experience better. So always good to keep in mind. Now, of course, with the British update and the new maps coming out, Wombat Medic did have something to say about that as it pertains to the map and mode rotation. She said that there will be a reduced rotation to begin with, but that she would confirm it in the changelog. Now, we haven't seen the changelog just yet because the update hasn't come out yet, but keep an eye out for that just in case, because if there will be a reduced rotation, there should be something there.
Now, let's talk for a second about how this rotation could affect TPL. What we've been looking at up to this point and up to the point of the update coming out, we've been looking at the potential for having 7 to 10 to 12 offensive matches in a row. Now, I don't think I've ever seen 12 in a row, but the potential is there. What this new map mode rotation is going to do is hopefully eliminate the fact that we would need to use an offense in TPL. It might give us the very first grounds to work towards only accepting warfare matches. So that is a huge win. But I think it's also important to remember that this is a change to the rotation, and this is not associated with the the map or mode selector that should be coming out with update 15.
That's right. So there is still potential for the need for burns. Say, for instance, teams agreed not to play Remagen or Stalingrad or something like that. Those maps may still come up, and even though it's warfare, you may still need to burn it. But hopefully, this new map and mode rotation will make it so that you have to do fewer burns to get another warfare match.
Yeah, and at least make it semi-predictable. That's what we're looking for, semi-predictability.
Yeah. And speaking about the potential mode preferences and map preferences that may be coming in Update 15, we have put out questions to Wombat Medic regarding that and whether or not that feature may make it more difficult or easier to find empty servers. We have not yet gotten a response from Wombat Medic on that.
Yeah, and our fear is that that having that selector could potentially make it more consistent as far as access to the warfare mode. However, it could, like you're saying, become more difficult to find empty servers, and we are just waiting to see if she has any thoughts about how we can overcome these challenges.
Yeah.
All right, it looks like that we do have some other stuff coming in with update 14. We're calling it the rest. we were really focused on a lot of the British content and the vote to kick and map mode rotation. Those are really the things that are going to affect TPL. But we do have some other stuff coming in with this update that could potentially improve the gameplay experience as a whole. One of those first things that we're going to talk about, if you don't mind, the non-verbal communication tool. I think we talked about it in an episode or 2 episodes ago. There's a couple of people are afraid that this is going to bypass the need for communications with a microphone. We do see confirmation that they are implementing this tool to help support players who may not have access to a microphone, or like we said, may not be able to use one at that moment. They might have a reason that they just can't speak. But it does look like this tool is going to be helpful in those situations.
That's right. Yeah. From what they've shown to us, I know a lot of people were really concerned about, this is going to turn into some kind of emote wheel or something like that. What they had in mind was completely different, and it's actually very relevant to the game. So basically, it looks very much like the current wheel that you can open if you are a squad lead, and it just has a lot of different options. So they kind of broke it up into requests, responses, information, and actions. So as far as requests go, from this wheel, you can request ammo, you can request bandages, supplies, explosive ammo, or you can request for orders from your squad lead. As for responses, they're really short, simple responses. Just acknowledge, a thank you, a sorry, a good job, an unlucky, and a repeat. I'm interested to see how the unlucky and repeat will get used.
Probably in the middle of an artillery strike. Unlucky,
That's
repeat
right.
that.
That's
Go ahead,
right.
respond on that OP, repeat that 5 more times.
Yeah. Of course, you keep the ping that's always been there. And as far as actions are concerned, the player will be able to say that they are attacking, they're defending, they're observing, or they're moving. So one thing that's important to note about these is that these are all squad level communication tools. So all of these communications will be seen by your squad mates and no one else. So it's not like proximity related or team related or anything like that. And something else that I learned today, I was watching Raz Bora's stream and he was talking about some of these new features. He was saying that based upon what he knows, these communications will appear in the top left of the screen like text chats do on PC.
That is very interesting. And I have to say, I was one of the ones who was afraid that this would become emote central. And I am very pleased with the direction that they've taken this radial menu for nonverbal communication tools. And one of the things I am most excited about is the possibility to use this in cohesion with your mic, not just for the people who don't have access to mic, which is this is going to help tremendously, but also using this in situations to keep comms clear. I think it's going to be extremely helpful to everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, these are absolutely relevant even to those of us who regularly communicate on a microphone. So I think these are nothing but a positive.
Yeah, and along with those nonverbal communication tools that we've already spoken about, the requests, responses, information, and actions, which is all going to be contained in one radial menu, there's going to be an additional point and ping system, they're calling it, and that's going to be if you are within 5 meters of what you were trying to ping, you can put down as a squad member, you can put down a marker calling out the item, location of ammo, explosive ammo, supply boxes, maybe garrisons. Of course, I don't know why you would mark it, not just take it out. But I'm excited to see more of these extensions of these communication tools coming out, and how else can we add to the effectiveness of the information system that we have.
So you actually said something interesting just now, and I think when I first read the dev brief, I probably understood it the same way that maybe you do, but having read this again, I think I've come to a different understanding. So when I first
Okay,
read
tell
this,
me.
I understood this to be enemy ammo, enemy supply boxes, those sorts of things. I believe these are point and pings for friendly ammo, friendly explosive ammo, friendly supply boxes. Basically, communicating to other players in your squad, oh, here's the supplies you're looking for. Here's the ammo you're looking for. Because how often have, you as a support player thrown down ammo for, MGs or whoever, and, you hear an MG saying, hey, does anybody have ammo? Does anybody have ammo? And you're like, oh, yeah, I left it over, way over there.
And I guess that's a very interesting view on that, because you may be right. With this point and ping system, it may add something to the screen similar like a move marker does. And I honestly forget that not everybody plays with their HUD always on. If you play with your HUD always on, you automatically see ammo crates, supply boxes, satchels that you're within distance of. You just automatically see those things. And I forget that not everybody plays that way. People are looking for a little bit more immersion. So maybe this will be something along the lines of, like you were saying, you're going to mark your friendly supplies with a marker that's going to show up on the map, similar to a move marker.
Right. Yeah.
Or on your screen.
Because I was trying to figure out, like, why would they make it so that you have to be within 5 meters of the item? But now I think, if I'm correct, it makes sense if you just put down ammo. You can call it out to the rest of your squad.
I think you may be on the right track here.
The only thing I wish they would add this for enemy supplies and things, but make it so that you can call it out from a further distance, because currently we have no way of saying, oh, there's enemy supplies at a particular location.
Right. I wish we all had the ability to ping, say an enemy airhead 50 meters away.
Right.
Put that on the map for your squad lead, but who knows how confusing that would get. All right, and moving on to some of the other tools and improvements that we're going to see with this update. We see a section dedicated to improvements to the XP screen. The experience screen is now going to provide a breakdown of your awarded XP with this feedback, quoting the dev brief here, with this feedback, players will be able to better understand how to alter their playstyle to maximize the XP they're awarded. I wonder how they're going to break this down.
I don't know how they're going to do it visually, but I think it'll basically be like, oh, you got this much XP from kills, you got this much XP from building things, you got, so on and so forth. Instead of just like how many kills you got or how many things you built, it'll actually tell you like what it contributed to your ultimate XP at the end of the match.
I think you may be on something here. If I remember right, we actually don't even see how many people we killed in the XP screen. We have to bring up the personal stats for that.
That's right.
So it will be interesting to see maybe the XP be broken down into kills, type of kills. Infantry, officer, squad lead. See like player destroyed vehicles, stuff like that. I'm excited to see how the experience is going to be distributed.
Yeah, that sounds like a really complicated UI. Actually, now that I think about it, but I'm sure
Yeah,
all the XP chasers out there among you will appreciate it.
We'll be able to better tell how much of the experience gained is natural or farmed.
That's right. Now we'll be able to see if most of your XP came from driving a truck.
Driving a truck and dropping supplies.
That's right. All right, next up, I think we can probably roll through the rest of these pretty quickly. Next up, we've got improved player locomotion. Pretty big deal.
Yeah, you say that we can roll through it pretty quick, but the very first item in improved player locomotion is dive to prone. I think we've seen a lot of discussion amongst the community about this feature. What do you think is going to happen with this?
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think this is a good thing because it is kind of weird to go prone from a sprinting position.
It is, and I think that's because this game was ported originally from a PC, and the PC has a button for crouch and a separate button for prone, so they can go straight from standing to prone through the press of a single button.
Okay.
We actually have a little bit longer of a delay because we have to hold the crouch button to go prone. So hopefully this animation, this locomotion, maybe that's going to make that a little bit smoother. Could come in handy under fire, under duress. MG's got a ping on your location, and you hear the first couple of shots, but he's not accurate with those first couple of shots. You hit the dirt. It might offer a little bit more of movement and freedom in those situations.
That's right, and I think the important thing to note, at least from what I saw, is that the dive to prone is not super fast. So I think this is what's going to offset what a lot of people are afraid of, which is the Call of Duty movement, basically. Like
Yeah.
People sliding around, flying all over the place. You know what I'm saying? This is a very deliberate movement. It feels very grounded, and the thing that I especially liked about it is that it takes a second for you to get into a shooting position after you dive to prone, which tells me that you can't just dive and immediately start shooting. It's not going to be a fast movement like that.
Yeah, you're not going to dive out of a corner and shoot at the same time, all Max Payne style.
Exactly.
I know that I was talking about those discussions. That's one of the discussions that a lot of people in the community are talking about, and I tried to get some answers from Wombat on the actual technical specifications of the animation, such as the specific delay to aim. I did not get an answer for that. We do see a delay to aim in there, so I don't think that we're going to see any Max Payne style people diving out from a corner and shooting you in the head before you even know what's going on. I think they've definitely grounded in realism.
It will be interesting to see if you can shoot mid animation like you can going from a sprint to ADS. Because if you've ever noticed, you can go from a sprint to ADS and pull the trigger midway, and your gun will shoot. Even though your gun is moving, it will shoot in whatever direction it's pointed.
I cannot say that I knew that. I did not. I did not know that that it would do that. I thought there was an actual delay to shoot as well as a delay to aim on that. But if it's in the sprint to ADS system, then I imagine that the time to shoot might still be there, just not the time to aim. So we might see a similar mechanic happening here.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting.
Just in a different position.
Next up, we got the step height improvement. So I think this is going to be huge, even though it sounds like a small update. But basically, this will improve. I'm sure we've all experienced it, like getting stuck on a small rock or something.
Yeah. See, I'm going to stop you there. You think this is going to be huge. I know this is going to be huge.
Yeah.
How many of those broken fences have you come to where it's only got one step plank? And if you were to
yes.
come to something like that in real life, you think, I'm just going to run over that. But in Hell Let Loose, that plank actually stops you. I think this step height improvement is going to fix that. Your model is actually going to step over those obstructions, step over those objects, and just provide a smoother experience while moving.
That's right. And an important thing to note about this is that the step height will be different between crouch and standing. So when you're standing, you'll be able to step over taller items than when you're crouched.
And this sounds weird too. They actually put this in the dev brief. The step height is going to be different for each position of standing, crouching, and prone.
Oh, and prone.
I would imagine the step height for prone is 0, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm crazy here. But with those step height improvements, we're also going to see some updates to, I believe, the animation for the run and sprint in both the crouch and standing positions. They've been adjusted to feel more natural and realistic according to the devs. So I'm excited to see how they're going to change that animation as well. I loved it when they changed the reload animation for the M1 Garand. They said it made it feel more natural and realistic to the style of reloading. So I'm hoping to see that this is going to be along a similar route. It's actually going to feel better and more realistic.
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see how this turns out, because I think this will come with changes to player speed when you're both sprinting and crouched. So I don't know. Hopefully they don't tweak it too much. I really feel like the current speed at which you move has a lot to do with the balance of the game.
It does.
So I don't know. I'm a little cautious about that one.
Well, and talking about the next point, you're talking about how things are going to be affected with these new animations, but we were also just talking about the sprinting to ADS time delay. We're going to also see some improvements to the rifle animation while you're running, while you're jogging, while you're sprinting. They're coming out with new poses, new animations, creating more, according to them, natural movements. I wonder if we're going to see any tweak to the time to aim from sprint to ADS. I wonder if we're going to see any differences in how the mechanic or how the player moves in relation to the environment rather than just in the animation, if that makes any sense.
Interesting thought. I didn't really have a lot of thoughts about this. I'm not really 100% certain on. I'm not 100% certain I understand exactly what this applies to. I was thinking like how in third person players run around with like the rifle in their hand, but in first person they have it in like a low ready.
Okay, so you're thinking that the improvements to the animation might be more of a third person affected rather than first person.
I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. It says new.
Either way,
it says new jog animations as well as pose animations, aim poses. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and there's no specifics. They kind of left that one a bit ambiguous.
Yeah. You might be right though. There might be some changes to the time to ADS and everything.
Well, I know what they are going to be changing, and it's the field manual.
Ah, yes. They're finally including some actual video. Well, they say I'm a
GIF
word I'm not gonna
style
say.
videos. Is it GIF or GIF? Who
Well,
knows?
I won't say
Guys,
because
let us
I'm
know in the
afraid of
comments,
the
GIF or GIF.
yeah, I'm afraid of the backlash I might receive. But we'll say moving pictures. They finally include some moving pictures in the
Moving.
in the field manual.
Back when the movies were first introduced,
That's
moving
right.
pictures. Let's go to the moving pictures.
That's right.
We're excited to see an update to this field manual. We've all been complaining about it for a long time. It's got information that is understandable to players who have been playing for a while, but it's not necessarily understandable to new players in the game. So I hope that they have reworked that, readjusted it, and made that field manual a little bit more understandable for the newer players in this wonderful game.
That's right. Hopefully, this will over time ease a little burden on some of us who are constantly teaching blueberries how to do things that are so fundamental to the game, but the field manual just is inadequate at explaining.
Yeah, I hope to see that improved. Some of the last things that we're, I think, going to talk about with Update 14 is the DLC. We see some new helmets. Yay! We all love new helmets, right? We always get new helmets. Hopefully that's not going to come as a gift or a present to offset any introduced bugs. Hopefully we're just getting new helmets. I don't
That's
want any new
right.
bugs with them. We also are getting a cavalry coat. Now that looks really warm. I'm
Super
sure the
warm.
Soviets need it. Yeah, it's awful cold in Kharkov. Jeez.
That's right. Yeah, that coat looks awesome. I feel like I feel like it's kind of missing, I don't know, pockets or something, but I don't know. How
Who
you gonna
needs
carry your gear
pockets?
with that coat on?
A satchel? Man purse?
I
I don't know.
suppose. I don't know. It looks pretty warm though.
Well, I think that's really all of the most important bulletin points of Update 14. But I'm going to catch you a little bit off guard. I'm going to ask you a question that we did not plan for.
What's that?
What do you think about the new Hell Let Loose logo and lettering?
Oh man. Oh no. I'm not a fan of it personally.
No?
I liked what we had before. I feel like it was more classic look. Um and I felt like the old Hell Let Loose logo, like the icon or whatever, the three lines.
The
Um
trident?
yeah, I felt like, I don't know, I feel like that just looks better than the new one. Especially the flat version of that logo. Now, I will say Hella Loose also has like a 3D looking version of that logo, the trident or whatever. And that
Mm-hmm.
one looks a little weird. Not a fan of that one, but I like the flat version.
Well, I gotta say, I love it. I think it looks wonderful.
Really?
I
I don't
do.
see it.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it like the first 5 minutes I looked at it, and then the more I look at it, the more I like it. The center line for the trident is a bullet that's upside down. Well, I say upside down, it's pointing down.
Yeah,
And
I
it
felt like
just
that was
it
gimmicky.
and it's a little bit gimmicky, but I feel like it takes that classic logo, which I do love. I absolutely love the classic logo. It is exactly that. It's classic. It's timeless. Um, but I do like the new logo a little bit because they've added a little bit of aggression to a classic. I don't know how else to explain it. I feel it's aggressive, but it's still close enough to the classic logo that it's not too gimmicky, even if it is a little.
So I actually feel like the font is harder to read. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that it's hard for me to read it. What I mean is I can read it just fine, but there's something to be said about your brain taking a little longer. Like, we're talking milliseconds here, nanoseconds, I don't know, to appropriately recognize the letters. And the reason why I say this is because of all the lines that are in the letters.
So I was just about to say that I do kind of like the format of the lettering, but the lines in the lettering, when you were saying how it kind of hinders that readability, even if it's by a fraction of a second. I don't know about you, but I hate when people use capital letters and lowercase letters every other letter. And I kind of feel the same vibe from those lines. Not nearly as bad, but it kind of does bring that out a little bit. That feeling
Yeah.
of rage, maybe anger. No, it's rage. Definitely rage. Anyway, I didn't mean to catch you off guard with that question. I just had to bring it up, man. I was looking at it and I kind of like it.
Everybody's got opinions about it, man.
Once again, these opinions are the opinions of us alone.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I think that's all I've got about the update, man. Lots of content, lots of exciting features, a lot of potential good, some potential bad. Let's hope it's all good.
Oh yeah, lots to look forward to. So we appreciate all of our listeners. Thank you very much for listening to each episode of TPLCast. We appreciate you all very much. If any of you have ideas or suggestions for future episodes, feel free to share them with us in the TPL Discord or in the comments on YouTube.
Yeah, we highly encourage that. We love hearing your suggestions. We love hearing your feedback. Please leave us a comment in the comments below. Just tell us how much you like to hear it. If you want to keep hearing these, tell us when you listen to them. Tell us anything.
So, all right, Hercules, you want to sign off?
Yeah. With that, man, this has been an epic episode, and I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Until then, peeps, keep leveling up and be kind to your neighbors. Hercules out.
Awesome. Good sign off, man. And yeah, that's it for me. Appreciate everybody who's listening, and we'll catch you next time. This is Tritium out.